This is the best armor in Bellwright. I've got the best helmet, the best body armor, the best chest armor, and feet armor in the game, plus a level 6 weapon and a big old shield. I want to show you how to get these things. Most importantly, the chest armor, which is actually the most difficult. First of all, you will need the town hall, and you will need to make your way through the research trees. Because as you can see, basically what you need to do is to get to the right tech tree. And you can see that on this side, and you scroll up here, you're going to need the armourer building first of all. So you're going to need to get to tier 3 buildings and then here. You'll also see making your way through the various different types of armour, and there are quite a few different ones until you get to the knight plate armour at the end here, which you can see gives you 70 armour protection. So now I've got 40 in my helmet, 92 on my body with the body and hand armor, and then 72 with the legs and feet armor. Most of these are actually fairly easy to get, apart from the knight plate, but I would recommend a few different things. One of the most important things is to get smelters, and I'd recommend 2 as a minimum, because it makes it easier to churn through these things. You'll see that you can obviously smelt different ores in here, and you're going to need iron ore and a lot of it, and then a lot of steel ingots as well. So what I'd recommend is finding the good iron ore spot like I've got down here in Horndean. At this area I built an outpost with 4 people working in a mine which also has a pit next to it, and they're basically just collecting iron ore, granite and tin which happen to be in that region, and then delivering it back to base. I've done a separate video on how to work deliveries and get loads of those things sent back to your base. I'd also recommend setting some of your settlement people to do the smelting. So make sure you've got at least a few people set to smelting as a high priority. So you can see this person here, for example, has smelting as their #1 priority. These buildings are then set to do iron ingots as a high priority, and then steel ingots and bronze ingots are also important, not only for the research but also for the crafting of these things, so make sure you've got a lot of these. And then you're going to need an armourer's building, and this is a tier 3 building which requires quite a lot of different things. As you can see, you need 30 cob, 28 thatch, 18 hardwood planks, 16 steel ingots on its own. That's pretty tricky to build. From here you can then do some crafting, but you will need to also have an iron hammer in your own inventory, and then you can be able to craft things. But as you see, if we go into the crafting, you'll need 10 leather, 12 steel ingots, 8 bronze ingots and 14 iron ingots in order to make the best armor in the game, at least the best chest armor. The problem there is it isn't actually possible to carry all those things. The requirements for doing this are also obviously pretty difficult, as you will need a lot of leather, which takes time to craft, and the other bits. I'd recommend taking it to the armour yourself and put it in the local storage, so you can actually go back and forth with this. But what I wanted to highlight is, 1, you need crafting level 9 in order to be able to craft it, and 2, it's actually impossible to hold enough things to be able to craft this armour. And that's because leather takes up so much space. You can see how much leather I've got in here. I've got the requirement, so I have 10 bits of leather in my small backpack and in my inventory, but those take up so much room in your inventory, you can't possibly hold 12 steel ingots, 8 bronze ingots, and 14 iron ingots in order to be able to then craft the armour. And so you need a villager who's capable of doing it. Assuming you have such a person in your village, and I'll show you how to do that in a second, I'd recommend then storing basically everything they're going to need for crafting in the local storage, because this will make it easier for them to craft it and ensure that they've got the resources they need there and ready. Getting someone with high enough crafting level can be pretty tricky. However, if you look out for the apprentices, once you've freed and liberated a village, you might find someone like Hannah who has a high top level of crafting. You can see she's currently got level 6 crafting, but can reach up to level 10. Bear in mind you need to get to level 9 in order to be able to craft that armor, but Hannah is going to be the way to do it. Now, the way to get this to happen is to make her read books by crafting books from padstow and get her to read them over and over and over and over again. Level 2, 3, 4, wherever books you can find that have crafting in them, make her read them constantly. So over in Padstow, if you head over to Charles over here, you can buy books from him. So we go there, and then obviously we're just going to buy some crafting books. Hopefully you've got enough money that you can do something crazy like buy a bunch of them and save them up for a special occasion. Then go to your settlement, and then go through to the relevant place, and then population, and then find the person you want to improve. So Hannah, then attributes, then click on the little icon here, and then click read. You can see Hannah is now 9 out of 10 in terms of level of crafting, and 9 is obviously high enough to make the armor. You can also see a level 2 book takes 44 minutes to read. Don't send her into combat in the meantime, because if she dies, that'll reset. But you can get higher level crafting books to make her learn even faster, but they are pretty hard to find, whereas you can buy them quite easily from padstow. So this is Hannah. Hannah was an apprentice weaver, and now she looks pretty mean. Her attributes have definitely increased a lot, as you can see, now level 9 crafting. But also one of the things I'd recommend is if you find someone like this that's good enough, so they've got a good enough high level, because the important thing is to bear in mind their top level, because obviously we want it to be able to get to here in terms of crafting. What I would recommend doing is basically setting them to only do crafting as their job, and I've got smelting as well, because that also counts as crafting. So you've got 2 lots of jobs here, nothing else. Everything else is turned off. None of the other jobs are hers. She's doing the important work, which is basically increasing her crafting level till she's at the point where she can then craft the armor, assuming that there are enough things to be able to make the armor in the first place. And so that's how you would do that. If you look through the list of people in your village, you might find you don't have very many people that have such high level crafting. Briscoe, for example, only has 4 of 4 crafting. That's the maximum they can get to. Charlie, who's an apprentice blacksmith, can only get to level 7 crafting, so he's no good. This one only level 5, level 7, level 6, 8. So even George, who's an apprentice carpenter, can't. You can see the apprentices have higher potential, but it really does vary. I got Hannah from Farnworth, so you might find that useful. I don't know whether she's always there or not. But you can see a lot of these, even the apprentices, just have a maximum level, which really restricts them. So they just can't even get to a high enough level. You can, interestingly, if you're struggling with renown points, sell someone, expel them from your village and get renown back. You can see I can get 10,000 renown for this person, 6 for this one, 5 for that one. I've found that if you make them read books and increase their overall attributes over time, they're actually more valuable. So if you find you're struggling for having enough to be able to recruit someone that's high enough level crafting to be able to do this, you can just expel someone in your village and get some of that renown back in order to be able to spend it. That's all very well and good, of course, and it takes an absolute age to get to this point, by the way. I've done 230 hours in the game so far, and a lot of it was being AFK and letting the bots do all the work of the crafting and gathering. How much difference does this armor actually make? You can see that I'm using a really high level shield, which requires 6 strength, and a double-headed hammer, which also requires 6 strength, and yet I'm still getting absolutely battered by these brigands. Unfortunately, once they start surrounding you, it's very difficult to defend yourself, and the top level armor just doesn't seem to make that much difference, if I'm honest. I'm still dying a lot, so was it worth all that effort? Of course, you're not really meant to play this way on your own, and it is much more fun with friends, by the way, to play that way. Or to get your army involved, to get all your villagers to come and help you. But you can see that I've lost a lot of health just battling one lot of brigands, and then another lot's going to show up. The thing that I found disappointing about this is how long it takes to get to this level, and yet you still aren't really very well protected. The benefit of the armor, of course, is you don't need any sort of level of attributes in order to be able to craft and use it. Well, you need to be able to be level 9 craft in order to craft it, but you don't need to have a high level strength, for example, to wear high level armor, whereas you definitely do for the weapons and shields. So it is easier to get, and it does help a little bit, but I'm still getting killed over and over again. Just quick save a lot before battles would be my tip there.